Welcome. You know, I've been contemplating a lot about my own life. And I wanted to share with you a story of my life. This isn't anything other than me telling you parts of me. You see, a long time ago, I was a child. My innocence was taken from me by my cousin. Nothing wrong, harmless. Sort of spin the bottle type mentality. I didn't know at the time, but it was. There was a lot of passing on, you might say. One of those things recently was I found out that the parents of my cousins, one of them was in jail. And he was a predator, you might say, one for a better word. Abused his children. And you see, that sort of passed on to the kids and then passed on to me. Without my consent, without my knowing. Strangely enough, I was the one that put an end to it. I don't know, I would have been no older than 8, 9, maybe 12, something within that. Wasn't very old. It was definitely in the early 90s. I had a flat top mullet. You see, that then sort of resonates with you as a kid. You think it's okay, those types of things. You harbor it with you. You don't know what types of entities there are. I only found that out recently because it started to make sense about all of the family trauma and the past life traumas I've had to deal with. But you see, this was never told. It was kept secret from us. So it goes all the way back to childhood and traumas and unhealed aspects. Now, I've healed this a long time ago. I'm just sharing my stories. Now, growing up, I was not really inclusive or included, or I always felt like second fiddle to my brother. He was the star child. He was the one that had all the girlfriends, the blonde hair, the gymnast. And I was me. The black sheep of the family, you might say. Nothing wrong. I wasn't outcasted when I was a kid, but when you look at it growing up through the teenage years, there was isolation. I was always in the same room seeing my brother get girlfriend after girlfriend. Seeing my family move schools a lot, where I had to move and was consistently trying to play the role of trying to fit in. Even to the detriment of others, I just tried to fit in, and I didn't know at the time, by hurting people's feelings. I was an overweight kid. I struggled with my weight my whole life. And everything that I valued, whether it was something that I made, was taken away from me. My parents worked hard for what they did. There's nothing wrong with that, but it was the absence of it. And you see, I was very absent with my father, away from those sort of things, which didn't really give me that sort of role that I needed. And I didn't get that motherly love from my mother either. So, you take through teenage years, you become rebellious. And you hang out with people, you do drugs, you smoke cigarettes, you do all those types of things. And you have some good times, but again, it's the same principle, because of my weight, I was an asset rather than a companion. I had friends, but it always seemed like the people that I loved the most were always the ones who ended up hurting me. But we were friends nonetheless. I fell for people, but they fell for other people as well. So yeah, I was one of the nice guys, the one to drive you home when they're all drunk. The one where the girls would always ask me to introduce them to my friends. So my love life was terrible. Went to an all-boys school. It didn't help. I played football and all the sports, weightlifting, and had some good records, but even in cricket, I was a spin bowler. They didn't bowl me because they bowled everyone else in front of them because they were the captain or fast bowlers. So I didn't get the opportunities I needed. In football, I was downgraded from the A side into the D side. And when we made the final, all the A side guys came back in and took our place. And I was going to play, but they gave that role to a good friend, but he had club foot, I believe. So they played him in front of me because they didn't want to feel like they were missing out. So a lot of misery, a lot of torment and things being taken my entire life. Opportunities not given, and every time I had to fight for everything I had to believe in. I had a scar on my neck. I had that removed from a mole, so that was difficult to be able to move the neck. I've had multiple problems with the Achilles. And then you move into that sort of rebelliousness with drugs. And you go into the side of things that got me in trouble. I was stealing a lot of things and getting in trouble with the police. The rebellious nature got me in trouble, and then all my friends just decided to attack me because, again, no one understood. So I left. I joined the cruise ships overseas because I didn't really fit in anywhere. I had my first sexual experiences at 18 on the cruise ships. And it turned out that this particular woman was Muslim, but she didn't tell me. We were young, and it turned out to be one of those types of things. It just led to a lot of problems, and because I was young, I was just trying to get my rocks off, one for a better word, but I didn't know I was enjoying myself, the freedom to gain money and spend it on things I enjoyed. And see, all the time people were telling me to save money, you need to save money, and I was like, I want to enjoy it. I'm happy buying things and having fun. And I did. And got into a lot of things where I liked a lot of people and a lot of torment, really, because it's hard watching people on a ship. There for 3 years of my life, from 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I spent all of my youth years, 18 and 21, working on a ship where I had beers to myself. And it was an enjoyable time because I was able to witness a lot of things, see a lot of things, understand the areas in Hong Kong and China and these sort of places. But it starts taking its toll because you're away for 5-6 months at a time. You come back and everything's changed. So I did that for 3 years, and it just took its toll. I had to go. I couldn't do it anymore. Again, authority was a problem. I remember standing up for myself, though, because a lot of the Scandinavian captains didn't agree with my politics or the way I dressed or the way I was. Everyone seemed to have a problem from schooling to work with the way that I dressed or the clothing that I wore. That followed me into work always. But I worked hard. I fixed things, I saved money. I saved the company's money by fixing and repairing things. And I was good at that. You see, I took a year off and had some money there. And unfortunately fell into the trap of, you could say, drug abuse, but I wasn't really abusing it. I was wanting to see why people couldn't come back from methamphetamine use. I've said this before in a very older video. And I found out I was writing a lot, and a lot of what I was writing was coming true. Because my mind was in a different reality, a different space-time. And because my thoughts was being placed on what I was writing, I was making these things come true. At least that's what was happening when I was rereading it. Unfortunately, I've burned all of those things because when I reread it again at a later date, there was just too much dark energy around it. But I remember. You see, that was the time again when my heart was broken. I was with a friend of mine and we were hanging out, good friends, but then I started getting invited over to her house with her boyfriend there at the time, or another one. And I kept seeing it over and over again. And it was just that two's a company, three's a crowd type environment. And with all of the stuff happening, my mind wasn't where it should be. And it snapped. I broke. I shut all my chakras down. I collapsed. And I gave everything up. I think one of the biggest and hardest things to do is to realize how difficult it is to come back from that mentality of using methamphetamines or speed, and coming back from that with no help, no guidance, just doing it cold turkey. The amount of things I've seen and heard and witnessed because of it is phenomenal. And it's one of those things that led me into that seclusive life, or reclusive life, secluded. And I started coming back. I wanted to get my head straight. I wanted to focus on those things and work, and I put in the hard yards. I, again, saved companies so much money. I joined the casino here. My love life was a shambles. I lost weight for the person that I thought I could love, and then I gained weight again and lost weight again. It's been a fluctuation. And I bought a home, and things were going well. And then I bought another home. And then a lot of my family members who helped me acquire it didn't really take good care of me. They took advantage of the situation and the mortgages and this sort of thing. All the while I'm trying to figure out my love life and myself and find out why all these things are happening. Why the voices on the radio? Why was there a specific thing called Claytron on the radio here in Australia that basically has all my family's names in it, and mine? Was I the one projecting that information? So coming back from all of that, still maintaining sanity, still pushing through and believing, trying to find love at the same time. You know, you learn a lot about renovations and healing, I was psychically attacked a lot, demonically as well. Led me to Reiki and a Reiki healer who told me about these sort of things, who helped me open my chakras again. And I continue. And then a lot of the sexual experiences or romantic experiences I was trying to find was only ever met with trauma. I was never able to hold a sustainable relationship more than a few weeks at most because nothing was there. Whether it was caused by black magic or dark spiritual stuff, or maybe God was protecting me, or my own body to say this is not the person, but I never felt love. It was always forced and I was in my head and nothing worked. It didn't. And I didn't want to be there, and I tried so hard. But I continued. You see, I was always met with criticism. No one understood it. They always just thought I was a bad guy. But you see, after every time these people or women or friends, they were lovely. I'm not a bad person, but they always seemed to be better off after they'd had contact with me. In my head, it's always like I'm helping them get where they need to. But I started noticing a trend that all of these people that I was with had either really bad ex-partners or had problems with their own self sort of strength. And I seem to be attracting a lot of these people that are confused with their sexuality. And it became problematic because the love for me was not there. So this continued through, and a lot of this comes from not knowing your past traumas or your bloodline healing. And I'm living this life all whilst trying to refrain from the mental anguish caused by coming back. At the time, the cigarettes was the only thing that was keeping me sane, because I would go outside and breathe and recover and rest and then go back. So it took like 5 years, 10 years most, to remove yourself from that need to want to have it again. The drug side of things. And then all the problems started occurring with the cigarettes and stuff like this. So then fell into the family taking advantage of my situation. They went over to Sydney and I was renting their home. And that was going well until housing collapsed. And I was kicked out by my family and my brother moved in. So I went back to my home, and again, my family who was looking after the place, when I found it, it was riddled with insects and they weren't doing a good job of it. I felt let down again, over and over. But I worked hard and I pushed through and I continued. And then kept pressing and kept trying to figure out what's things. So I researched and looked into it. Had fun, tried to continue, but it's the same things. And then a lot of it came down to COVID, where I refused to fall in line, you might say. And I tried to support people and give the right informations, and I fought Crown Casino. I fought the lawyers, and technically I won because they stopped talking to me. I was more informed than they were, but they were so heavily tied in with the government, they didn't care. They really didn't care that they were lying to everyone, and I caught them out. That they were not giving true statements. That they were trying to force people into a Nazi-type camp regime. No one cared. But I fought nonetheless. And I was there for a few people that maybe I saved or helped as well. So I lost my job. I was terminated. And even the government who was supposed to help me due to unfair dismissal couldn't. They said that the company was in their rights to do so. So I was unable to reclaim anything. I started to lose money. I had to sell both properties. I had to move back in with the parents. I had no choice. I had no money. I had no job. I fought hard for everything, and I lost it all. And it was a endless loop of becoming closer to yourself, what matters, removing the attachment side of things, removing the anger and hatred, and focusing on why it happens and these sort of things. And there's a few skipping moments in there, things that I wish I hadn't have done, but have led me here. Some personal accounts that saved me from specific relationships. Two, in fact, which was very similar because I got the message. Those repeating moments until we learn from our mistakes that we don't do it again. My love life has been one I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Nor has the fact that I've always been abused for my skills or my talents or overlooked multiple times. But I'm not here for pity or empathy. I'm here to showcase that my journey is still continuing. It doesn't change who I am and how I believe in myself. I have witnessed unbelievable things that no one else can explain. Magical things, mystical things, that the phenomenal stuff that is just once in a lifetime. I'm not attached to money yet. I wish I have the multi-millions of dollars and hundreds so that I can continue on and experience the better parts of the world. Because I've experienced the rough. I've understood the power of words and meaning. I've hit rock bottom and continue to rise. I've been abused and manipulated with no one to talk to or to confide in. Everything I've done now, I've done alone. And that's the hardest thing. When you have no one, your friends disappear. Your lovers disappear. Or your loved ones, I must say. It's not like that. Everyone goes. And you're left to wonder what's next and why. And we look into that, the spiritual side, and God's preparing you for. And we look at that, and sure, I've said before, is how hard do you have to go before you break someone so that when their reward or their prize or whatever comes in, that they're too broken to really enjoy it? How far do you have to push someone to breaking point? It shouldn't have to be that way. And it shouldn't. It's a matter of character to keep going. Maybe it's all a facade and it's all not real. To be honest, I don't really care. All I want to do is help humanity grow, build a community, do my paintings and my artwork, and plant some trees and some stuff. And I want to do that with the love of my life and build a family and help that. It's not doom and gloom that it hasn't happened yet. It hurts. The fact that every time I have small wins, it gets taken away from me. Or worse, given to someone else. But I continue, not because of that, because I'm happy when people win. I'm happy to see the growth of others. It's just my circle here, my family, everyone around me doesn't see it. I'm like that shining beacon in the pit of darkness. But yet no one's coming to save me. I don't need saving in that aspect. It's more, I want to see progress. I want things to happen. I want to start that side of my life where I can start smiling more and seeing the betterment in humanity in my partner and just grow together. My life story is hard. You could say it's made me a warrior. It's made me a lover because I've never had that experience. I was never told as a kid what it means to have sex or what it means in the relationships, because my sexual interaction from school was that of how to put a condom on. And the only sexual education I had from my mother and father was from my mother, who showed me the video or the movie There's Something About Mary, with the guy who jerks off in the toilet and gets it in his hair. You know the one. And that was it, which led to a lot of isolation in my life because my sexual education was based around that, which led my whole teenage and young adult life to be that. So every time I was with someone, that's where the trauma lied. And then you go further back with the predator and stuff like this. All of this attachment energy is just traumatic to control a person, whether it is dark or sinister, it doesn't matter. So every aspect of my life has been part of traumatic experiences, either passed through or hatred upon me because my mother wanted a daughter and didn't get one, and I was the last child. So all these things get passed on. The cheating mentality that has been in my family, where people have been cheated on or broken marriages multiple times, is being transformed, but yet I'm the one that can hold the best thing because I see it, and I'm the one that doesn't have the opportunity. So there's so many aspects of my life that could destroy any other person. But it's just my love, because the love I'm able to share with people, to children that help them grow, that some of my friends' kids have never had that loving appreciation that I'm able to share with them as a parent and as a best friend. But you see, when that starts getting to the point where people are using me for that, I have to go. Or my wisdom in helping people in their relationships become more, I come to see you to release my stuff, I have to go. In all the meantime, I lose everything from my life, from all the material possessions, all the insurances are removed from my life so that I can go somewhere else. It's difficult to live this way in optimism and hope without being able to utilize your skills as an artist or as a healer or as a speaker. Someone on a podcast or a platform or anything that is great at communication, and you see all of these people out there who discuss these things, and they're all pre-scripted, they're all given this stuff, they're all given funding. You have all of these groups that just talk about nonsense and all these things, but don't actually help you heal anything. That's what it is. It's money gathering information sources, but no one's there to heal you. Or it's the same with like politicians, that they're all there talking about the problem, but no one's got the guts to actually fix the problem. They're all just going, here's a problem, there you go. I like to think of it that my life seeing the bad, recovering my mental stability, loving myself for being the weight that I am, and enjoying my body when I am thin and fit. Appreciating the love from people that see it. Knowing that when I'm there, I'm not turning back. The experiences we go through make us who we are. They break us, and they challenge the very existence of our own reality. Would I change anything in this life? Maybe one thing. But then who am I to say that that wasn't meant to happen? Maybe that was the thing that made that person who they are today. So honestly, I wouldn't, because that's just the way that it's gone. That's the skill that I've learned and the understanding that has led me to who I am today. It's been the most difficult I've ever experienced in my entire life to survive. To watch people succeed but hide their flaws and their mistakes and not want to change. And that is not my role either. But my experiences has definitely made me wise. And I hope one day I get to be in a position where I can share that wisdom with others and just talk about random things from my perspective. Heal the lands of earth and be a gardener, a father, a lover, and a guide. Maybe even lead a state or a country, who knows. So that is, in short, there's so much more underneath the surface, but in short, that is my story. I appreciate those who have listened, because it is quite long. And I hope that if there are any struggles in your life, we overcome them, or we find the way out, or we have the resolve and the resilience and the willpower to overcome it. I no longer smoke cigarettes. Again, I quit that cold turkey 5 years ago. I no longer do the drugs or drink alcohol. All of that is gone in my life. It's not necessary. The difficult part, though, is because trying to eat food, sometimes my body doesn't appreciate it anymore. Because it's full of the chemicals or the additives and preservatives. So you try something and your body says, nope, I don't like that. So you can't eat that anymore. So you try things because you're a sweet tooth and you can't eat that anymore either. So then you get reflux. And you listen to your body. The healthier we get, the more our body tries to tell us what we cannot have. Another removal of the fun things we used to eat and enjoy. Now we can no longer. But that's okay too. So it is with that, I leave you with peace and love. Take care.